Hello, welcome back to the channel. This is the weekly poster roundup where we look at the last week of movie posters, and we're just gonna take a look and see what we like about them, what we don't. Afraid is a movie that we already commented on in a previous weekly poster roundup. This is a newer poster for it, and I actually prefer this one to the other one. The other one was a little bit stale, not that attractive, not that scary. This is clearly more scary. I like how the tagline is written downwards like this. That's a staple in horror films, and it is kind of creepy because there's a bit of anticipation as you're reading them. The central creepy thing here, I mean, it's still not the nicest thing to look at on a poster, but we have this shadowed figure here that's a little bit more menacing. I don't know why it says 29th of Augustus. I don't know if this is maybe from if this is like a different country poster, but everything else is in English. So, and the fact that everything's in black and white except for our kid, except for this bulb, it's essentially almost all in red and black and white. I think that's a pretty good choice. The only thing I don't really like about this, that I did specifically like about the first one, was the type at the top here. I think that it worked better in the other poster. Here it just seems totally off. You know, everything else has got this grainy quality to it. You know, the black and white, everything's sort of eerie. But then this text here just kind of looks like it's been popped on like directly from Word or something. That's like the one thing I don't really like about it. The rest of it I think is pretty cool. So I still think it's a B. I think the last one was a B, but like a low B. This is a higher B. Let's just put it that way. Beetlejuice, the upcoming sequel. The idea with this poster is that it is a play on the original Beetlejuice poster. And I have it here for you guys. And I don't know. This just looks so much more commercial. I think the fact that the original was like kind of painted, like these characters are sort of eerie in the way that they are shown. You see like Michael Keaton, he's just like an exaggerated version of himself in this like painted form. And I don't know if maybe just painted posters just cost too much money nowadays to make, and it's way easier and cheaper to just photograph the characters in position. You see it, and it's got like these really lovely details. I think that this original poster is so much more attractive. This is literally just like a cheaper, lazier version of that, where all the characters are simply posing in front of the camera. I like the backdrop, you know, but it's going for the same thing as the original. I just think that the original is so much better, and if you're gonna copy something, you have to like do something to improve upon it. Otherwise, it's just always going to be compared as something worse. I'm going to put it in C because I'm just a little bit annoyed at the kind of the laziness of this poster. Okay, Boot Camp. I've never heard of this movie. Like obviously this is a teen rom-com or something like that. It's obviously not going for anything like particularly artistic, but on the other hand, like it is kind of an attractive poster to look at. I do like the color scheme. I like the blue sky when everything's sort of summery, and it does immediately take you into like a summer camp vibe. So not at all like something that I would normally praise, but I think that within the genre of teen rom-com posters that are going to be commercial and are going to be generic and are not going to be particularly artistic, there is sort of like an old school quality to it. Like obviously it's nothing ambitious, so I don't think I'd rate it anything higher than a B. But I think for what it is, I actually don't really mind it whatsoever. All right, The Crow. This is another repeat. We've seen The Crow before in another video. And this one actually fixes the thing that I didn't like about that one, which is the sizing of the font, where The Crow is actually large and the in theaters August 23rd is smaller, giving that focus on The Crow. I don't know why True Love Never Dies is just kind of bolder than the rest of the font. I kind of wish it weren't, because once again sort of distracts from the poster itself. Like an ideal tagline text would be incorporated into the poster, and this does feel a little bit like it's pasted on top. A good example of a tagline that feels integrated into the poster is the tagline in Afraid. Otherwise, though, the image itself, it's sort of similar to the original, except we have this new character here. a ton of crows in the background. It's got a lot of depth, the background. I think that this is a pretty solid poster. I don't know if I want to put this in A, though. I'll put it as a high B. I'll put it above Boot Camp. All right, The Deliverance. This is yet again a poster that we have looked at in another video. And I think once again, we're seeing an improvement. The other one was just so hideous. This one's actually a little better. We have our principal character. The way that she's lit, I think, is really pretty. We have, obviously, the purposefully put cross on the wall there. I do like the Lee Daniels film. Again, the logo doesn't really do much for me. I think that this text here is a little bit distracting. Why it's there, I don't really know. Are these writers particularly famous? Is there a reason why you want to advertise them so prominently? It's kind of an ugly bottom section of the poster. I feel like this version, but just sort of simplified with only the Deliverance, a Lee Daniels film. And I do like, the complementary colors because the background is sort of got this nice navy blue. Even though I'm not totally sold on the logo for the title, I think that the red works really well there. I'm going to put that as a high C. Okay, A Different Man. This is a really cool poster. I really like the use of negative space above the characters' heads. I think that the concept is just extremely intriguing. We have these two actors who are both dressed the same, but obviously they have this one distinguishing quality that's different, which is their faces. From what I understand, this actor actually has a face like that. That's not like prosthetic or anything. Adam Pearson. Like, this is just like really classy way. They don't have a tagline, but they have a critic quote: "A wild, trippy, and dizzying dark comedy. Sebastian Stan completely transforms." And we have these in red, which just looks so sweet and pretty next to this logo, which again is just really tight. I just love how these three actors' names are just resting on top of different men, with Aaron Schimberg, the director's name, just underneath it. I just think that this logo is so cool. It's really well incorporated with the text on top, and then the central image is instantly intriguing. It's creative. I think maybe my only thing with it is just the fact that it's written as a dark comedy. I can see the dark. I don't necessarily get that it's a comedy. I could have easily thought that this maybe could have been a thriller or a drama or something. Although there is, I guess, something inherently ironic about the two characters dressed the same but with different faces. Nevertheless, I think that this is solidly an A. All right, A Whole New Kind of Hell. Hellhole. All right, this is a poster that doesn't have much information on it. As you can see, it doesn't have the director or any sort of rating or anything like that. All it says is that it's a Shudder original. It makes it easier to have a poster that's sort of more simplistic. And I don't know if this movie really makes the most of it, because I think it's an intriguing poster, don't get me wrong. I think that this top half is really cool. I feel like this house here it's an element that's almost shoehorned in. As someone who hasn't seen the movie, and I'm assuming that nobody who's seeing this poster right now has seen the movie, because I don't think it's out yet. That house or the building, it's kind of hard to tell, but that location doesn't give us anything. It's not particularly menacing. Maybe it's something that we'll understand once we see the movie. Oh, it's the building from the movie. But on a poster, it's not intriguing, it's not scary, so I think that that's kind of a wasted opportunity, because this isn't doing anything more for me than if the poster had all of the bottom text, the rating, the director, produced by the makers of X and Y and Z. All of that stuff could have fit fine at the bottom here, and they could have used that space for that, and I wouldn't really mind it. They have a unique opportunity to not have to have all that text, and then they kind of waste it on a pretty unappealing bottom half of the poster. It's a little bit ugly to look at, but ultimately that's sort of what it's going for, because it is sort of, it seems like a body horror type of thing. So it is gruesome, and that's sort of what it's going for. I might put it above Afraid. Just because it's a little bit more ambitious. Okay, The Killer. I actually really like this poster. I think that this is pretty cool. I can see people, putting this up on their wall. This logo is pretty awesome. The fact that we have this background that's sort of in black and white, high contrast landscape of Paris. I think maybe the only thing is I wish that they had been a bit more integrated into the background. Right now it just does seem like they are standing in front of a backdrop. Their lighting is completely different to the background. I like her shot in a low angle. It is sort of an interesting pose. I just really don't like the way that he's just sort of kneeling on the floor here. It's just kind of weird. If they had taken out these two actors and just done something different with how they're presented on the rest of the poster, I think the rest of the poster, the spacing, all this negative space up here, look at like the landscape is right here at the lower sixth of the poster, and everything over here is just white. I'm going to put it as a B, but a higher B than the others, because I do think that this aesthetic is pretty cool. I just wish that they'd done something a little bit different with our subjects. Lone Wolves, it does remind me of like a lot of mid-2000s indie posters. It's got this really cool font in like a bright red that then contrasts with the blue lid that she's leaning on. I gotta say, I do actually really like this poster. Unlike A Different Man, this one does seem clearly like a comedy. And in fact, it could be a dark comedy because no one's smiling or anything like that. I like the way that the tagline is integrated into the poster. I just like the spacing a lot on this poster. I like this dangling star that's sort of integrated into the text. It helps utilize this space between the pill bottle and the text here. This is like really well thought out. I think, and look at the thank yous on his shorts. I don't know if that's just pasted on or if that's actually on his shorts. Nonetheless, that's still a pretty fun addition to the poster. I like posters where the more you look into it, the more kind of detail you find on it. I'm going to put that in A, just under A Different Man. Miss Cleo, Horizon Fall, a Lifetime original movie. I don't know. I don't mind this. I do like they did decide to go somewhere interesting with it, with this sort of kind of screen quality to it, and obviously I imagine that plays a part in this person's life. I don't know who Miss Cleo is. I guess she's a tarot reader, so I don't know, but this kind of looks techie to me. Does this not look like it could be a sci-fi thing, or am I sort of seeing this wrong? Yeah, like this does look techie, right? Because it looks like she's sort of glitching out here, so I don't know. It's a cool visual component. Like they could have just made the same poster without that, and it would have been super boring, and I wouldn't have liked it at all. But I think the inclusion of that is pretty fun. I don't mind all that much that Lifetime is so big there, just because like what else are you going to do with all that space? And the sort of tarot in the background tells you what it's about. Even it looks a little bit like a cheap background on her portrait. It at least contributes to your understanding of the movie. I think that the pink title and the way that it's the text is sort of cut with these jagged tech lines, I'm going to call them, it doesn't really appeal to me in general. Like this isn't something that I would watch necessarily, but at least I can appreciate that that they did put some thought into this poster. I think I'm going to have to go for a B again. It reminds me a bit like Boot Camp, where it's like it seems kind of cheap, but at least there's a little bit of thought, and it sort of works for what it is. All right, Sandy Saving Bikini Bottom. Okay, so from what I'm gathering from context clues here, this is like a SpongeBob SquarePants movie. I haven't seen much SpongeBob at all, so I don't really know who this character is. I don't know if she is in SpongeBob, or maybe I'm totally wrong about this and it has nothing to do with SpongeBob. From the deepest depths of Bikini Bottom. It's not much of a tagline, I'm not gonna lie. Maybe you gotta be a SpongeBob fan to understand. I think this is like a pastiche on a horror poster. I don't know if maybe this font is used in a famous horror poster and I'm just not getting the reference, but this does look like it's a pastiche more than anything, because it looks like it's a horror film, but it's in SpongeBob, so I'm assuming that it's kind of tongue-in-cheek. That's sort of my guess. I have to make like PowerPoint presentations for work. I would do that where I put the company logos on each corner, and so that's kind of like a cheap element to it. To me, it's selling a horror film, but I don't think this is going to be a horror film. So I don't know. I'm gonna put it in like C. I'm gonna put it. It's my least favorite so far. It's just a little forgettable for me. But I'd love for any SpongeBob fan in the audience to correct me on that. All right, we have our last one, which is Spread, a Tubi original. We're getting a lot of of these platform originals. Peacock, Shudder, Tubi. It seemed this was the week for them all to just release their posters. I do like the colors on this a lot. If you're going to have these magazines, obviously it's about like a magazine called Spread, and if you're going to have this backdrop, I do like the colors of magazines that they used for the backdrop. I think that it adds a nice like kind of dimension to the background that I appreciate. I wish maybe they'd done something a little bit more interesting with the magazine itself. We have a model eating an ice cream and like these lips here. It just seems like another generic magazine cover, which I think is what they were going for, but I don't know if it's particularly attractive on this film poster. Like me as an audience member trying to see if I want to see this movie, that magazine is like an opportunity to intrigue me even further into seeing the movie, and it just has the logo of the brand. It has these generic magazine photos, and I think that's just like a bit of a wasted opportunity. Otherwise, like it's pretty generic, but I'm gonna put it above Sandy, below Beetlejuice. That's everything for today. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, and please comment below on your thoughts on the posters that we saw today. I feel like it was a fairly weak crop because I didn't see any S tier posters. A lot of middle of the road today. Yeah.